Hi everyone, welcome to your next lesson, Unit 2, Lesson 2, Adding Rational Numbers. Okay, so I have a couple quick notes here for you, but the lesson itself is actually really good and has good explanations. So make sure that you go through each page and really focus in. And I made a note there, make sure to watch that video on page 4. Watching that will help you a whole bunch throughout the lesson, okay? So just as a reminder, rational numbers. A rational number is a number in the form AB, right? Or it can be written as a fraction, where A, or our numerator, okay, is an integer, and B is a non-zero integer. What that means is that like A could be a 0, B cannot be a 0. Okay? Some examples of rational numbers would be -2, 3 7/10, 1/4, or 17. Okay, so they include decimals, fractions, whole numbers, negative numbers, 0, all of those things. Again, make sure to watch that video on page 4. Very helpful. It's a good explanation. Feel free to either pause this video and take notes, right? You could copy down my notes that I have here, or take notes throughout your lesson. That would be really good too, all right? You can always refer back to your lesson, either for your quick check or especially like on your unit test, okay? So, a couple hints that I wrote down. Negatives mean you are heading left on the number line. Positives mean you are heading right on the number line. That'll make more sense once we get to our examples, which are coming next, okay? And the ones I chose are actually some of the problems you have to turn in, so it would be very good to write these down. So, our first example, and again, if you need to pause the video, go get a piece of paper or your math notebook, things like that, this would be the time to do it. So on page 14 of your lesson, this is practice problem number 2, all right? It says use a number line to add 5/4 and -2/4, okay? So first off, I'm gonna set up my number line, all right? But I'm also gonna show you how to do it without a number line because I think that's really important too. So let's see. I'll draw a good number line there. I'm going to put 0 right around here. We're talking about fractions, right? So I'm going to put fractions on my number line. Here I could have 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4. Well, hopefully you remember from previous grade levels about fractions, right? The bottom number, the denominator, that tells you how many pieces your thing, whatever it is, right, is broken up into. That's our total number of pieces. The top number, our numerator, that tells us how many of those pieces that we have. So if we have 4/4, okay, that means we have one whole. We have 4 out of our 4 pieces, making one whole, okay? But I don't need that one, right? I need 5/4, which would be right over here, 5/4. So really that means I have one whole, right? I have 4/4 plus one more. So just in the interest of understanding numbers, I'm going to put this, just so we can keep that in mind, as 1 1/4. Okay, those are the same thing. 5/4 is the same thing as 1 1/4. All right, so that's good. I know I needed that. Now, I don't know yet, or maybe you've already guessed that whether you need negatives or not, but if we're heading this way, we could say -1/4, -2/4, -3/4. But I just don't know if I need those yet. So let me switch my colors. If you can tell, I like all my color coding. So we're starting here, right? 5/4. Right? I'm starting at 5/4 here. Now, if I'm going to add a negative. Well, normally adding, right, those get bigger. But because it's a negative, right, remember that hint I said earlier, when you're using the number line, negatives mean we're going to the left. Positives mean we're going to the right. So in this case, I'm already at 5/4, but now I'm adding a negative. So I'm going to go to the left, -2. Okay? Or -2/4. Sorry. All right? So this is to the left 1/4. This is to the left 2/4. Well, where does that get me? That gets me to 3/4. Okay? And that's my final answer. So I'm gonna box that guy in. I could even write it up here. 5/4 plus -2/4 equals 3/4. Okay? One other way you can think of it, when you have a plus sign, an addition symbol, right next to a negative, okay, the negative symbol actually overpowers the positive symbol. This is, I like to joke, just because I can think of it in a different way, that this is the one place in the world where like a negative thing is better than a positive thing, right, or stronger. So another way I could have written this, I'm going to write it down here, and then I promise we'll move on to the next one. But this is all, it's all such good information. So we could say we have 5/4 plus -2/4. Well, what we just did, really what we did was we subtracted 2/4, right? So really we could rewrite this as 5/4 minus 2/4. Okay? Well, remember, the denominator of your fraction only tells you how many pieces everything is being cut into. And when you're adding and subtracting fractions, they have to have a common denominator. In this case, we already have that. So I can just subtract my numerators. 5 minus 2 is 3, and my denominator stays the same. So 5/4 minus 2/4 is 3/4, and that's exactly what we showed on our number line. Okay? Let's try it again. Ooh, this one I got some bigger numbers. Right? Let me get there we go. That's a little better. Okay. This is page 14 from your lesson, practice problem number 4. All right? So if you need to stop for a minute and go do the other problems in between, you can, or just write it down for later. Okay? So this problem says add -21 and -11. Okay? So I'm going to set that up as an expression. I've got -21 plus -11. Okay? So we could use the number line if we want. We could also think, they're both negative, right? And if I'm adding them together, well, if we add those together, we would just add like the number part of it and put a negative sign in front, right? You can also think, this is like, I owe my mom $21, right? I have -$21 because I owe her money. Well, now I owe her another $11. Okay, so how much do I owe her all together, right? That's what adding is all together. So if we do that, we could think, well, I still owe my mom money, so I have to have negatives. And then 21 plus 11, that's going to give us 32, -32. Okay, now if I were to show that on a number line, all right, I'm way past 0, right? So I'm not even going to bother with 0, okay? I've got, let's see, I'll put -21, that would mean -20 is there, right? They get higher, right, the further we get to the left when we're talking about negatives. -22, oh, I might have to squeeze them together because I don't know if I left room. I have a tendency to write too big. -23, -24, -25, -26, oh man, -27, negative 28, negative 29, negative 30, negative 31. I didn't leave myself enough room. We'll go negative 32, negative 33, and so on, right? So, we started at negative 21. Here we are. Get a different color. We started at negative 21. Okay? We're adding a negative. Remember, from up here, right? Negatives mean we're going to the left. Positive means we're going to the right. But this one's a negative, so that means we're going further to the left on our number line. 11 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's that negative 32. Not that that's very legible, but hopefully you get the idea. Okay? Okay. One more, and then you can get on with the lesson and put all of this to use, okay? So this is actually from your quick check. So this is page, oh, I should have put that in there. This is page 15 in your lesson. Problem number 5. This one says add negative 18 and 5. So setting that up as an expression, negative 18 plus 5. Now if we keep on that money train, I like using money because everybody needs to know how to use money. And that's what this could be about, right? So we could pretend, okay, now I owe my mom $18. I'm just spending way too much money. But I owe my mom $18. I have negative 18. But then I pay off $5 and give her back 5. Okay? Well, now it's like, how much do I owe her? So to look at it on the number line again, let's do that real quick. Okay. I'm going to put negative 18 just kind of here in the center. Alright? Do it in there. Alright, if I go to the left, I would have negative 19, negative 20. I'm going to go 5 in each direction. Negative 22, negative 23. Going to the right, or getting closer to 0 in this case, we would have negative 17, negative 16, negative 15, negative 14, negative 13. Was that 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that way. So I'm starting here. Here's my starting point. Okay? There's my starting point. This time I'm adding 5. Remember from the hints or from the previous problem, right? Negatives, if we're adding a negative, we go to the left. If we're adding a positive, we go to the right. Well, this 5 is positive. So I'm going to go to the right 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there I am at negative 13. Okay, so if you remember from earlier, right, I owed my mom $18. I paid her back $5. So now I still owe her 13. Okay, that's a little bit of a real world example to go with that. So go ahead and go through your lesson. Take your time. Don't just click through everything. That's not helpful. Okay, take notes along the way. You need to turn in your practice on page 14, and you need to turn in the quick check on page 15 in order for you to mark the lesson complete. Okay? So, happy mathing, and if you need anything, give me a call. Bye.